Let's get going with episode 4. I went ahead and I picked 5 hotel properties. Jamie's got 5 hotel properties. We're going to go back and forth a little one for one on our properties. I'm going to start with Jamie. I think your first property is the Helios Grand Hotel at Universal Studios Orlando. What you got?
Yeah, all right, great. So I will start with this one. This one's opening a Memorial Day weekend of 2025. So it's the Helios Grand Hotel at Universal Orlando. So those that may be into theme parks and stuff know that Epic Universe is opening that weekend as well. So this hotel is actually going to be attached directly to this new theme park. So it's going to have its own access where you'll be able to walk right out of the hotel into the park. Some of the benefits of staying at the hotel will be early access to the theme parks, Universal, Epic Universe, and basically all the parks there. So that'll be awesome. One thing I'm not sure about, this is a Loews branded property. The other, some of the other Loews branded properties get the Express Pass. This one doesn't list it as a benefit now, so I'll be curious if that ultimately ends up being an option there. But the theming of this place looks really cool. It ties right into the Epic universe. It's a decent size hotel. It's going to have somewhere around 500 rooms and suites. One thing I thought was kind of cool with this property is that it actually has a club level that you can book into. A lot of theme park properties don't have that, so that's kind of a neat offering that'll be available there as well. So this is one I'm looking forward to. I'm actually booked for it next summer. I'm going to do 2 nights at the new property to check it out just a couple months after it opens. So check out the new theme park, check out the new hotel. So it's one I'm really looking forward to.
I've got no idea what Epic Universe is, so can you give us a little? I'm sure some other people also don't. What's the scoop on the new park they're opening?
So this is probably, I can't think of the last time a new full-on theme park opened in Orlando. So Epic Universe is going to be this massive new, basically theme park at Universal Studios. So this will be their third gate. So a whole lot of new options. I believe the Nintendo World's going to be in there. I assume there's going to be a Harry Potter area that ties into the other ones. But yeah, I would not say that I'm a expert on this park yet, but it's one that I'm looking forward to checking out.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and get us started on my end. I've got Grand Hyatt Deer Valley, which for those of you that don't know, Deer Valley is a little bit right outside of Park City, Utah, which has some great properties. I will say the Waldorf Astoria Park City, which I know Jamie loves, I've also enjoyed in the past from his referral. There's also the St. Regis in Deer Valley, which is a pretty well-known property, I will say. It's not priced very friendly a lot of times of the year. So this is another nice option in Deer Valley. It's going to feature 442 rooms, suites, and private residence. It looks like about 26 private residents. I couldn't find a breakdown on suites to rooms, but if you go through their site, you can book already. There's a lot of suite options. So I'm going to guess most Grand Hyatts are pretty suite friendly. So that is nice. You've got on-site ski lockers, a kids club, a game room, a heated year-round pool. Their hotel's going to open first, but then they're going to be working on a 16 ski lift and a 10-passenger gondola that are going to be right from the hotel. Guests will have direct access to these facilities. There's also going to be shuttle services to other lifts. One really interesting note, I'm not a big skier, but you've got Epic Pass and Icon Pass. So the Icon Pass company owns all of Deer Valley, so that falls under the Icon Pass umbrella. Interesting note that I found reading through, lodging reservations do not guarantee lift tickets, and so even if you do have an Icon Pass, you do need to reserve it before the day gets filled up. So make sure you don't forget about that, because that'd be awful to spend all this money for a ski vacation and then, you not even have access to the mountain. That'd be pretty terrible.
I'm also excited about the hotel, except for the summer. I'm a snowboarder, so one thing to note is Deer Valley is not snowboarder friendly.
That's a bummer. So you have to be a square who skis to go here.
You have to be a skier.
That is a good note as well. I didn't know. So it looks like there's an adult-only underground tavern that's going to be called Three Little Birds, which is being headed up by the mixologist of New York City's famous employees only bar. Should be pretty interesting. They're offering almost 30,000 square feet of corporate space as well. I've got a couple notes for some other restaurants. A lot of the standard rooms it seems like almost every room comes with a sleeper sofa. So you can get pretty family friendly and squeeze people in there. The base rooms fall into about the 350 to 390 square feet, which I feel like you're kind of really squeezing. It's a little tight, I think, with a family, but if you start going up to some of the larger base rooms, there's like you get into King Mountain View and there's a reservoir view, and those start pushing up into the 400 square feet. So that's not a bad amount of workable space, I don't think, in the base room side.
Yeah, it's
Some
not
of the
bad.
suites, yeah, it's not bad at all. I think some of the suites look really interesting. There's a grand suite with balcony that falls in right around 1,300 square feet. There's not a ton of information about it, but like looking at the models and pictures, it looks like a true live-in suite. Like they've got a fireplace with a dining room, and it looks like the whole bedroom is separate. I got pretty excited about that. It also says you can put a connecting room on there. So if you've got like a bigger family, that might be a nice setup as well. They've got some really large rooms too, but shockingly, the presidential suite seems to cap out at 1,900 square feet. I feel like that's a little on the smaller side, but it looks like they've laid out their space really well. And you have a booking here too, right? Already, Jamie?
So I did. I actually wound up canceling it. I was actually going to go off season to go check it out, but scheduling wise, I wasn't able to make it work, but I did have it booked originally.
Got it. I think I'm going to, as long as it seems to be a pretty smooth opening, I think I'm going to look at it this summer. I'm also not a skier, but I just did the Grand Hyatt Vail over Columbus Day, which was a great value. So I might look around that time of year too. It's kind of nice to be out in the mountains, like pre-ski season, but like leaves are falling. It's still a little cool. But yeah, I'm definitely, that's up there on my radar for new hotels. And that one's opening soon. So it looks like your next hotel you're going to go over is St. Regis Aruba. Tell us about it.
This is one I've been looking forward to. So I love Aruba. I love the Ritz-Carlton in Aruba. I think the beaches there are great. There's tons of restaurants and dining, lots of resorts that you can hop around between if you're looking for variety. So this is probably the first new luxury opening that I can think of there since the Ritz opened, and that's been a good number of years now. So this is actually at the complete opposite end of the beach. So you typically have like this little Marriott compound down at the one end. You've got the Ritz, you've got the Stellaris, you've got the two vacation clubs. So originally I thought they were going to tack on down there somewhere, but it is at the far opposite end of the beach. So this is a nice option. It'll be closer to the airport. I think it's probably going to be around 300 rooms and suites. So not a huge property by any means. If you've been to Aruba, the beaches are probably some of the best beaches in the world, I would argue. It's super gradual, out into the water, especially with little kids. There's always a breeze. So I always joke that Aruba is always 82 during the day and 72 at night. It's pretty consistent year-round weather. Another nice thing about just Aruba in general is you're outside of the hurricane belt. So, some people worry about going to the Caribbean during the summer. Aruba's actually far enough south that they don't get hit with hurricanes. So it's a nice summer option if you're looking to get down to the Caribbean and enjoy some sunshine. I always love St. Regis's. I think their champagne sabering, it's kind of a tradition at St. Regis. So, you go at sunset and they saber the champagne and pass out glasses. It's kind of a fun ritual every night. I think it's a great way to start the evening before dinner. The butler service at the St. Regis is always really cool. They're super helpful. I assume like other ones, they'll probably give you a WhatsApp number or something like that where they're always available to you to make dining reservations or spa reservations or answer questions, help you out with whatever you need. Every St. Regis I've stayed at so far has been a great experience. So I expect this to be similar with great service, really nice luxury rooms. And this will be part of the Stars program where you'll be able to book it and, get the breakfast included and the property credit and hopefully some decent upgrades and things like that. So this is one I'm really looking forward to. It's supposed to open next year sometime, so 2025. And this will be probably one of the next beach vacations I book after it opens because I love Aruba, and I've been looking to get back down there with the family.
Nice. What about there's the Ritz Carlton. There's also Hyatt Regency, correct, on island?
Yeah, yeah. Hyatt Regency, that's fairly centrally located. That's a really cool property. Again, that's also part of the Privé program, so you can get similar benefits there: the breakfast, the property credit, things like that. That one is nice though, especially with kids. It actually has a water slide, so a lot of the properties in Aruba, they're smaller resorts, so they don't have a ton of activities, but that one does have a water slide for kids, which is pretty popular.
Nice.
There's also a Hilton. I mean, Aruba has a lot
Okay.
of the brands, which is nice. You've got Marriott, you've got Hilton. There's going to be another Marriott. You've got the Hyatt. So there's a lot of options there.
I feel like when I look at the Hyatt Regency Aruba, it's always expensive. So what's your take on the St. Regis? Where do you think it's going to kind of fall?
I don't think it's going to be cheap. I think if you, depending on the seasons, because I think about the Ritz, I imagine it'll probably be similarly priced to the Ritz Carlton, maybe a little bit more. I like the Ritz location, so I honestly don't know if it'll be more or similarly priced, but I'm going to guess it's in that same ballpark. And the Ritz in Aruba, you can actually, if you go off season, there's some really good deals to be had there. So you go like September when it's not a break, October when it's not a break, especially if they're running a free night promo, it becomes a fairly reasonable luxury island vacation. I went in May 5, 6 years ago, something like that. And it was pretty reasonably priced when I went because it was, not a peak time to go.
All right, my second property is the Waldorf Astoria San Miguel del Allende, which is an area I've already been really eager to go visit. We had some friends just go there a couple months ago. I've heard great things. One of my big downsides is there's not really a ton of good properties down there. So I've been kind of excited about this announcement. There is a Rosewood there, but it hasn't gotten me super excited looking at it. I mean, I'd probably consider it, but I'm thinking this might be a little more fun. For those of you that don't know much about this area, almost all of it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that is pretty exciting. There's two airports. You can't really fly directly into there, which is unfortunately, but there's two airports that are both about 45 to an hour away that will put you into this city. The whole area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's all these like cobblestone streets. It's really brightly colored. It's kind of more like Spanish colonial style town than you're going to find in most of other Mexico. It is inland by a good margin. And if you're totally lost, it's like somewhere between, if you made a triangle between like San Luis, Positano, Guadalajara, and Mexico City, it kind of like falls somewhere in the middle there, like a little bit north of Querétaro. Querétaro? I'm not saying that correctly, but it's all right. Forgive me, please. I think the real interesting thing about the Waldorf is it's like smack dab in the middle of the city. If you look at some of the renderings and designs, it looks great. There's not a ton of information about this hotel out there. It's 120 keys, so 120 hotel rooms, and they're saying there's going to be 24 residences. The cool thing about this property is it looks like they're doing a really good job integrating the architecture into the city. The city's really famous for its art scene, its rich history. There are a lot of Americans kind of living there full time now, it seems. It's kind of turned into one of those little pockets or beds, which some people may like that. Some people, may not on their travels. The Rosewood falls a little bit outside of the city, and the pricing for it being where it is, I think, is a little rough. The Waldorf, they've kind of got more centrally located in the town, and if you look at the renderings, it looks amazing. They've got a 2025 opening date set right now. I couldn't find anything firm. The interesting idea for this area is you've got November to April is the dry season, so that would technically be peak season. So if you're looking for maybe a bargain on one of these trips, could either try to, I wouldn't go too much earlier than November. You don't want to get stuck in raining season, but maybe if you did something like now, end of October, or even into April, May, you are at high elevation, not as high as like Mexico City or somewhere, but it's something to consider. For me in Dallas, I've got direct flights to both the airports that are within an hour there. If you don't, I don't necessarily, I haven't been to San Miguel, so I can't say, but maybe look at integrating it into another trip. I think it's something where like if you guys go down to Puerto Vallarta for a long weekend or for a week, or you do Mexico City, like adding San Miguel, I think would be an interesting idea. Especially if you're coming from, I think, a little bit further, or you can't really fly in direct. And I will say, the few times I've flown intra Mexico on Air Mexico, it's pretty easy. Domestically to fly around Mexico, there's a lot of flights, a lot of flight times. Like, don't be intimidated by that. I will say for sure. If you can avoid Mexico City, that's always ideal. Just Mexico City's airport is a mess and it's far, but it's something to think about. There's not many times you can kind of discover new parts of Mexico. And I mean, this is going to be Waldorf's third property, Waldorf Astoria's third Mexico property. And I will say their Cabo property is probably my favorite hotel in North America. I think I have it on my list to review sooner than later. So I think if this can even get close to that, quality or build, I think I'll be super, super excited. But that's the Waldorf Astoria. There's not much, there's no bookings available yet. There's no room options. So I couldn't pull as much info as the Grand Hyatt. But I'm going to kick it over to Jamie, who is about to review a whole different Waldorf Astoria.
So I don't know this for sure. Before we go to the next one, I don't know this 100% for sure, but I will assume that the Waldorf in San Miguel will also be a Hilton for Luxury property where we're able to do, the breakfast for two daily, property credit, welcome amenity, upgrade of some sort, things like that. So I'm pretty sure every Waldorf is. There may be a few exceptions, but pretty much all Waldorf Conrad's LXR properties are going to be in that Hilton for Luxury program. I'm going to kind of go along with the same theming. So the Waldorf Astoria, Costa Rica, and I may say this wrong, Punta Cacique, which is one that I'm really looking forward to. I'm actually booked there with a group for spring break of 2025. It's slated to open early 2025. Originally, it was February. I think it's now been pushed to March. So I'm like keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't get pushed into April when I'm supposed to be going and I need to come up with new plans. But similar, right? I think Waldorf Astoria does a really great, consistent job, with their properties. This isn't going to be a huge property. It's going to be somewhere, I think, in the 200-ish room range. So keeps it down in the smaller, more intimate luxury range. A lot of these rooms here, similar to the Waldorf in Cabo, will have private plunge pools on the rooms. So not every room, but a lot of the rooms here are going to have private plunge pools, which I think is a really fun option, nice option, looking out over the water, hang out at the end of the day. So I think your daughter loved the plunge pool in Cabo, so I'm sure the kids are going to enjoy that if we can score an upgrade to a room with a plunge pool, which is my hope. Costa Rica is really great for, just all the nature stuff, right? You got rainforest, you've got, zip lining and all different water activities and animals, and you can surf there. So there's a lot of off-property activity things you're going to be able to do, which typically I'm not a go sit at a resort for a whole entire week. But this is one we're actually going to do a full Saturday to Saturday and try and do a bunch of off-property activities as well. So some things that I saw listed at the Waldorf that they're going to have, which looks kind of cool, is they will have a really nice spa, which for a week-long stay, I'm hoping to be able to sneak off and do the spa. They're going to do a bunch of wildlife stuff. So they've got bird watching tours, wildlife observation, some different eco adventures they're going to be offering from the property. So I don't have a ton of info on that yet, but it looks like there's going to be quite a few activities. Whether there's a charge or not, I don't know, but quite a few activities that are offered by the resort. So I'll be curious to see, as they start releasing those, what that's going to look like as well. This also will be a Hilton for Luxury property, so similar benefits, the breakfast, the property credit, upgrades, things like that.
And it looks like this is right across that huge bay. I don't remember the name of the bay, from say like the Andaz and Four Seasons. Have you done either of those properties in the past?
Yep. So I think the bay, I think, is Papagayo. I actually think that's what it may be called.
Okay.
Bay Pop. I know that's what the Andaz and the Four Seasons, they're Papagayo. So I think that may be what the bay is called. I don't know that for sure. But yes, this I think is right across from there. I've done the Andaz. That is a great property. They just added, I don't know if it's open yet, but they were adding a bunch of rooms to it. And then also, since I was there, the setup at the Andaz is really cool. So you have the main property, and there's a beach area, and the restaurants and everything like that. And then you can either take a golf cart or a speedboat over to, they have their own private beach area, like separate from the hotel. And when I went, it was very basic. It was just like a bathroom, and I think they had a small restaurant or something there. They completely redid that beach section. So now it's got a swimming pool. It's got more dining, like a nicer dining area. Just a lot. So you can spend more time there than, when I went, you maybe go for a couple hours, hang out, and then go back to the main resort. Where now you could probably spend a good portion of a day there. Four Seasons is also great. It's right next door, so you can stay at the Four Seasons, which is always a great property. I've never had a bad Four Seasons stay yet. But what's nice there is you can dine at the Four Seasons, whether you're staying at the Andaz or not, and vice versa. If you're staying at the Four Seasons, you could dine at the Andaz. So opens up a bunch more dining options as well.
Nice. The real thing I'm excited for you to tell me about is, is there going to be a monkey invasion at the Waldorf Astoria like the other property?
I'm going to guess probably yes. So yeah, that is funny. I mean, if you've ever stayed at either one of those, the Four Seasons or the Andaz, you know that the monkeys come pretty much anywhere you are and steal whatever you have. You could be eating at the restaurant. You could be sitting on your balcony in your room. You could be swimming in the edge of the pool, and they're going to come right up and grab whatever you got.
Yeah, we even had some little monkeys come and like splash you in the pool, which is kind of funny. But I mean, it's part of the unique experience. It's it's not something you can get at every property.
Yeah, I mean, kids love it.
Yeah, make sure you leave your balconies locked as well.
Yes, for sure.
Tip. Perfect. Well, I'm going to slide over to the Rosewood, Mexico City. This is a tough one for me because I really, really like the Four Seasons in Mexico City. I haven't personally stayed there, but I've heard great things from some people. And I think we've booked up at the St. Regis, which is almost catacorner to the Four Seasons. I like that location, and the Ritz-Carlton is also there. They're like all in this little pocket. I really like that road. I really like that location. However, they're kind of in like the corner of La Condesa. They're a little bit further away from like Polanco, which is where a lot of the more trendy touristy things are happening these days. So in comes the Rosewood. And I think the most interesting thing about it is kind of its location. It's 133 properties, 35 of which are going to be suites. There's going to be 4 food and beverage outlets, which doesn't sound anything too exciting. There's a specialty dining venue, a living room lounge, poolside bar and grill, and like an all-day restaurant. However, this whole thing is going to be in the Antara Mall, which I actually randomly had gone to. There's 2 really famous museums right across from this mall. There's the Museum Humex. I really hope anyone that's Mexican that's listening to this, that's my friend, isn't paying attention, so they make fun of me. And then I'm not even going to try and say the other museum, but it's like the Humex Museum is like very much like modern art. It was super cool. We went through it. And the other one across the street from there is it's all like older European art. So then next to that on the corner is a Costco. So if you're into checking out Costco's overseas, you're all in this little pocket. There's a Hello Kitty cafe in the mall across the street. And then you go across this large street and you have the Antara Mall, which has pretty much every high-end store and a bunch of high-end restaurants for Mexico City. There's also like a little casino wedged in there as well. But, all the Western and nice brands are tucked away in there. There's also a Chili's. So if you really need to eat Chili's in Mexico City, there is a Chili's in there. Interestingly, this property, and doing some research, was an old General Motors factory that they tore down. They built this mall. The mall is absolutely gorgeous as well. And I'm not sure where on this mall property, but they've acquired some new land and they're building a 41-story tower. And the Rosewood is going to be inside this tower, which also is kind of unique because there's not a lot of like huge skyscrapers around Mexico City, especially on the Polanco side. The St. Regis is a very, very tall building, but generally like the Four Seasons is a 6-story building. And I feel like that's a little more common with some of the luxury hotels there. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the Rosewood's not going to take up the whole hotel or the whole 41 stories being, that small. Yeah. But, also in a pinch, that's where the Apple store in Mexico City is. So, if you need, some Apple services, it's also there. But I think that was the main reason I was excited about this property. I've really had a lot of fun in Mexico City in my day. I think Mexico City is really trendy. It seems like more and more and more people seem to be going there. And with all the other luxury hotels literally being in 3 blocks, 20, 25 minutes away, depending on traffic, I just think it's a unique hotel in the middle of Polanco. A lot of stuff going on right there. Like I said, you've got the museums, there's malls, there's a lot of restaurants right in there. Costco. So there's not a ton of info. It's 2026 ETA. It seems like hotel projects in Mexico always kind of struggle to launch out the door. So I mean, 2026 might be ambitious, but considering it's being built on a mall that already exists, it's the same architects who built the whole mall and everything. I'm kind of hoping they'll be a little closer on the timeline. But another Rosewood in Mexico. I feel like Rosewood has really good presence in Mexico. Rosewood always seems to do food and dining really well. And Mexico City's already a very much, I think a dining mecca, or at least for me. I've loved eating in Mexico City. So I'm hoping they can deliver on that, which has me excited for the Rosewood. And then I think Jamie is going to follow me up with a Rosewood in another country.
Yeah, so if you thought 2026 was far away, this one is. It wasn't going to talk about this one at first because it's right now it's slated for 2028, which I mean that seems like an eternity away. But when I saw this one announced, it got me really excited. I love the Caribbean. I love luxury hotels. This one may be out of my price range, but we'll see. So they are opening a Rosewood Exuma on a 124-acre private island. So it will literally be just this hotel on their own private island. It is going to be 33 suites or villas, but it's going to be a really small property. So super intimate. The service should be amazing with only 33 villas or suites. And what's crazy to me is with only 33 suites, they're supposed to have a 20,000 square foot spa. So I have to imagine the spa is going to be pretty phenomenal for this. I mean, if you're talking 33 rooms, even at a fairly high capacity, you're probably going to only have 100 people plus or minus on this island. They're also supposed to have tennis courts, pickleball courts, paddle courts, nice fitness facility, a private beach club, which obviously are on a private island, so it's going to be a private beach club, but they're going to have a beach club on the island. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more information at this property as it comes along. Right now, I can't even imagine they've started building. They probably have the island, maybe started working on some infrastructure. So I'm sure these dates will adjust, hopefully up and not further back. But this should be a really awesome, truly high-end luxury option in the Caribbean. If you've ever been to Exuma, it's some of the prettiest water you probably ever see in the world. I would argue it's as pretty as Maldives or any of those waters. That perfect Caribbean blue. The beaches should be amazing, I imagine, on a private island. You're not going to deal with crowds. You're not going to deal with cruise ships. This is going to be a true luxury, intimate experience where you essentially have a private island with a couple other people only having 33 rooms. So I'll be really curious how this is going to price out because it's one I would love to be able to go check out if it's even semi-affordable. It would be a really awesome luxury vacation. So I'm looking forward to this one. Looking forward to seeing some more more info come out as we creep closer to opening date.
You've got in your notes something about Emerald Bay. What is Emerald Bay?
So the way this island is set up, it's got like an actual like U-shaped bay in it. And I assume that's going to be where the beach club and everything, from looking at pictures, I imagine that's where the beach club and, the water activities and things will take place. From what I've seen, 124 acres is a pretty decent sized island. And it appears that if you look at the layout, there's almost like a little barrier island as part of this island itself. So the Emerald Bay is behind that barrier island in like the inner part of the bay, which my guess, I don't know the renderings or anything yet. I have to imagine that's going to be where the hotel sits because it looks like the best part of the island, in my opinion.
Very cool. What year did you say? 8?
Yeah, right now it's saying 2028, so we will see.
Okay. That is a rough timeline. How about this? I've got the next one up, and they're already taking reservations. So this is a little bit quicker. It's the St. Regis Cap Cana in the Dominican Republic. For those of you that don't know, Cap Cana is like a high-end resort area of Punta Cana. This hotel is pretty close to the airport. I feel like Punta Cana has really good connectivity these days from most of the major airports, especially on the East Coast. American, I think at least seasonally has one direct flight a day. And then if you start getting into like Atlanta's got flights on Delta, Miami, you have one in Charlotte as well, yeah?
Yeah, we can fly direct. There's
So
a
yeah,
lot.
and I know New York's got a lot. So this is a very connected property. They are now taking reservations starting on April 15th. So if you're going to be really depressed about your taxes, you can just fly on down to the Dominican and see if you can enjoy not paying it. The number one thing that caught me about this property before I did any research is who designed it. It's Chappie Chapo Design Firm. They have designed the Amman Hotel in Turks and Caicos, which looks amazing. And they have also designed the St. Regis Kenai, which you stayed in
Yeah.
Mexico, which I've heard is brilliantly done as well. So that gets me pretty excited about this property. It's going to be 200 rooms, 36 suites. They're going to be doing swim up suites as well. The presidential suite is 6,500 square feet and 2 bedrooms. Now, I was poo-pooing the Grand Hyatt Deer Valley's presidential suite at, I think, 1,800 square feet. 6,500 square feet feels very presidential to me. I'm excited about that. There's going to also be 70 residents on property, including 47 beachfront residents. And then there's going to be 15 golf terrace residents, 6 Astoria residents, which I couldn't really find any info about, but they purposely put those to the
Sounds
side.
expensive.
Yeah, exactly. 2 penthouses. The Astoria and penthouse residents range from 3 to 7 bedroom, and the largest penthouse is going to be 20,742 square feet. Resident pricing starts at $1 million and will reach up to $25 million, which
All right.
whoever's got $25 million to spend on a Dominican Republic beach house vacation, call me. I'd love to come hang out with you because that's not me.
Definitely.
The St. Regis, interestingly, looks like it's going to be on the Punta Espada golf course, which when I was doing some research, I'm not a big golfer outside of Top Golf, unfortunately, but it has been ranked the number one course in the Caribbean and the number one course in the Americas pretty consistently over the last couple of years. The hotel will have 4 swimming pools and 9 bar and dining locations. One thing that really annoyed me, which is why I just gave this big sigh, is you cannot, for the life of you, get the square footage of these rooms, like the individual rooms on the site, even though you're live and taking, reservations. One of the real struggles that I have with this hotel, just from whether it's a base room or a suite or the rooftop room or the Oasis suite, every bedroom picture is identical. So it's really hard to know where some of the unique variance in the property is. I don't know if they've just really been lacking in updating their information and data, but even the suites but like I said, I can't find square footage. It's the same picture, but one of the real frustrating things is right now all the suites say max occupancy 2.
Yeah, that frustrates me when hotels do that. Like, I mean, I do get it a lot of times, it's just a king bed, but you get up in that 1,200 square feet. It's nice to be able to bring the kids with you.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't know if some of these haven't just been, updated. Every room has the same photo, but I mean, even some of these, like, it's called the Palm Lux room, and it's a swim out room. So I imagine it's gotta, be bigger size than some of the other standard rooms. It's like 2-person. The nice thing is though, the smaller guest rooms are queens instead of twins, which those will give you a max occupancy of 4. It does say they'll allow you 1 crib. So I gotta think they're at least 400 something square feet. Having queens is so much better than twins, obviously.
Big time.
But yeah, even all the suites have a max occupancy too. So I did not love that. But like I said, it doesn't look like they've updated all the pictures and things. So hopefully it comes around. Property looks incredible. And like I said, the guys who designed it are world class. I think you touched on some things that I also really appreciate about St. Regis. The sabering process is always really fun. The butler service is great. I don't love the whole WhatsApp thing, and I think we covered a few episodes ago. I really like the Four Seasons app, but listen, having a WhatsApp number to text is far better than not having anything. Listen, if I was going to go to the Dominican Republic, I think this property is probably moving to the top of my list, especially when you look at some of the renderings of like the common areas and public areas. They look beautiful. If you go want like some physical evidence, if you go look, like I said, at the Amman Turks and Caicos, That whole property is stunning. So I feel like these guys have done a really good job. They've got some celebrity chef integrations that it looks like are coming together. They've got a amber room cigar bar. They have several spaces for a lot of ballroom social events, which I think is pretty standard. It says they have their own private beach as well. There's not a ton of detail on that, but it just seems like this is just going to be a world class experience on a world class golf course. And it's a far flight from me, but I think when you start dealing with East Coast, I mean, even from New York, I think your sub 3 hour flight seems like a grand slam to me.
And when did you said this is taking reservations already?
April 15th. Yeah. So
that's awesome. So you could do a late spring break or start planning summer, fall break next year. Yeah, that's nice. And this should be a Stars hotel as well, right? Where we can do the breakfast and property credit upgrades, things like that.
Correct. Yeah. And like I said, there's not a ton of info for a property that's opening in, I don't know what that is, 120 days, but it seems very promising. I mean, I wouldn't maybe risk going the first weekend. And like you pointed out, sometimes that stuff gets pushed back, but I'd let some people go make some initial stays. And yeah, I mean, this has got to be top of your list if you're looking for a new, unique summer vacation, I feel like, for sure.
And now I have not looked, and I don't know if you've looked either, but how did the pricing look? Did you look at any dates for pricing on this at all?
I probably should have done that. Let's just do it.
No, that's okay.
Let's just do it in real time. May 12th to 17th, view rates, spin the wheel. I'm going to guess $1,100.
All right, I'm going to make my guess before you pull it up. So, and I haven't searched this at all. I'm being optimistic that being Dominican Republic, it's going to be a reasonably priced St. Regis, particularly the first year it opens. I'm going to say like 790, 800.
We're both
good. Oh, that's awesome.
Right now, May 12th to May 17th, if you want a superior guest room, one king, limited view balcony, you're $587.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say, if you could stay to St. Regis, under 600 now, I'm sure, being Caribbean, we're going to have some good taxes and everything on there, but still, you're probably talking $750 all in per night.
Let me click show with taxes and fees. Okay, it gets a little uglier with taxes and fees. $751 a night with taxes and fees.
Yeah, that's under 800 for St. Regis. Yes, it's expensive. That's not just it's not a cheap vacation, but it's a true luxury property and a brand new luxury property designed by like we said, famous architect that's done some amazing other properties. So that's not a terrible deal if you're looking for somewhere really nice to go for a vacation.
So while I've got it up, let me give you two more prices. Just interesting information before we go. Obviously, these can change all the time, but I already see some really good value here. The swim out rooms, which if you're into that, that's not my most favorite thing personally, but I can see a lot of people liking. I just don't like being on the ground floor of hotels in general. But if you're into the swim out thing, you've got a swim out room, which a lot of the swim out rooms have a huge premium, but they've got this room for $892, and that's taxes and fees included. So $140 extra a night. You've got yourself a swim up room, which I also imagine being on the ground floor is
that's pretty awesome.
Bigger in space. And then even if you want to step into some of these suites, which, like I said, big caveat, there's no square footage information that I can find. So who knows how big this suite is, but if these are some reasonable suites, you've got the suite for $1,080 and you've got a swim out suite for $1,222 a night, and that is tax fees included. So let me back those out real quick just to get like a base room rate. You're talking you're talking $844 a night for the suite, $954 a night for the swim out suite. So you're right. I was really anticipating getting taken to the cleaners here, but if the $2,000 a night for Turks and Caicos Amman is out of your price range, this might be your number one backup vacation spot.
Yeah, it seems definitely doable.
I don't hate it. So your fifth property, your last but not least, and you do have an honorable mention, but let's knock out your fifth property here. You've got Park Hyatt Los Cabos.
So yeah, this is another one really looking forward to. So Park Hyatt Los Cabos is set to open summer of 2025. I do right now have this booked as a option for Labor Day weekend. It looks like a really cool property. Not a huge property. Again, probably around 200 rooms and suites. So, decent size, but not like a Baha Mar, massive property. This has got a good mix of room types. So, just a regular starting at a king bed room, but these are massive rooms. Standard room is 649 square feet. Like, that's a massive standard room.
Let's go.
I was actually really surprised when I saw that. They're base suites, which the price jumps up pretty significant from a base room to a base suite, but all their suites have a plunge pool of some sort that I've seen. So you go about 1,000 square feet, so not a huge square footage premium, but you get the plunge pool when you jump up into the suite. So lots of rooms and villas with plunge pools, which, like I said, if you're into that, that's great. They've got 1 and 2 bedroom, like true villas. So those have massive outdoor spaces as well. Some are beachfront, so you can get a 2-bedroom beachfront villa, which looks like a really cool room. I don't know a ton about this property. I'm not sure how swimmable the beach is going to be there. From the pictures, it doesn't look terribly rough on the one side, but I know Cabo can be a really tough one, so I'm not sure this is going to be a swimmable beach or not. But that said, I'm really going to be curious how this compares to some of the other, properties in Cabo, right? I know we both love the Waldorf that's in Cabo. So this will be a nice additional option to have going there, if there's not availability or anything like that at the Waldorf. But this is one, like I said, I'm really looking forward to checking this out. Hopefully it opens on time. It's supposed to open, like I said, summer 2025. So we'll see.
Definitely. And this hotel is on the Cabo del Sol golf course. So there's some other hotels and properties as well in there, which can be interesting. Upside too, I would say, against the Waldorf, it's closer to the airport, right? You're only about 40 minutes from the airport versus the hour over to the Waldorf, which is nice. I mean, it's just something I saw as well. I'm planning on going there as well in the fall, but it's going to be tough to compete. That Waldorf is just so good. But listen, if the Park Hyatt can do it, I'll be thrilled for sure.
Yeah, and I will say, I think this is going to price out way better than the Waldorf. I mean, I think Waldorf can be fairly cost prohibitive sometimes. I know, like when I looked for Labor Day, when I plan to go, the base room is in like the $700 range, where I imagine the Waldorf is probably maybe twice that or something. So I think it's probably a pretty decent price difference. And this is one too. This should be part of Privé. It hasn't opened yet, but I can't imagine it's not going to be part of Privé, where we can do breakfast for 2 daily, $100 property credit. Another cool one thing I like about Privé versus some of the other programs, can typically confirm an upgrade at time of booking versus at check-in. Caveat is this property is not open yet, so I don't believe I can confirm an upgrade ahead of time when I book this one right now.
Perfect. Well, my 5th property wasn't even on my radar or my list like a week ago. And originally I was looking at the Four Seasons Naples, Florida Beach Club. I thought it was pretty interesting. I've never been to Naples, and I've tackled most of Florida. And I mean, who doesn't want to stay at a Four Seasons? However, most of the information about that hotel available is about the nightmares they are having with the city commissions and construction. And I didn't think it was going to be really fun to talk about, construction disagreements for the next 10 minutes. So I wound up at the Four Seasons Belize K Chapel, which I think might be the hotel I'm most excited about in this decade. If they can make this place
that's
look,
a lot.
Yeah, if they can make this place look 80% as good as these renderings, I think this is going to be the best property in a long time. So let me hit you with this. It's a 280 acre island. So I think it's double the size of your Rosewood Exuma property. It's a 104 room hotel with 18 overwater bungalows, which interestingly enough, that is the first Four Seasons overwater bungalow in the Western Hemisphere. I made that stat up, so you might need to fact check me, but I couldn't think of any other Four Seasons in the Western Hemisphere.
Sounds legit.
With
Sounds
overwater bungalows.
to me.
There's also 24 residents. This is supposed to be opening late 2025, so it could be soon. The caveat there, it was supposed to open in 2021, and it's still not open. So we're almost 4 years into delays already. So I don't know if you want to book your private jet to Belize City just yet. It is a private island. It's about 16 miles from Belize City, which, according to the Four Seasons website, they will be offering you the option of a 30-minute boat ride or an 8-minute flight, both that will be coordinated by the hotel. The island does have a airstrip. The island also has a helipad. They did not mention helicopter transfers, but I assume there's got to be a way to get you into a helicopter there. If that's, really your thing, I'll probably be fine with a 30-minute boat ride. Hopefully, we'll see. One conflicting piece of information that I could find about this hotel is a lot of times it references a 9-hole Greg Norman golf course. Other times it mentions an 18-hole golf course. On some weird Caribbean news website, they said it was a 9-hole golf course. You can play both ways. So I don't know if that's what makes it 18. But either way, it's a Greg Norman golf course, which sounds, promising, at least from everything I've heard. They're going to have their own adventure center. They even have a harbor and marina, so you're able to bring your own boat in as well. I don't know. I couldn't really find anything on the way of fees, but I'm sure you will be charged for that. The hotel is also very close to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, Belize Barrier Reef, which is the largest coral reef in the Northern Hemisphere. I found that actually as a fact from the internet and not made up by me. It's the second largest coral reef in the world, I think behind the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. There is a national park, a marine reserve, and there's the Great Blue Hole, which is a big diving spot, all that are very close to where this island is. If you don't know much about Belize, it is a very, very small country in its own. I'm going to be bold enough to say that this is the first 5-star hotel in Belize. There's definitely a couple 4-star hotels. Marriott's got an Autograph Collection, Alila Belize, which looks pretty nice, but it's definitely 4-star. And so that gets me excited. It gets me excited that it's a 30-minute boat ride from the airport. You're not dealing with, one of the big downsides when you start talking Maldives, Bora Bora trip is you're flying around the world and then you're taking a little plane to a boat to a golf cart. It's like best case scenario, if you're going to the Maldives, you're going to be, 36 hours before you're in your hotel room, even if you're pretty much going.
It's a trek
there.
So yeah, you're not going for a 5-night trip, or if you are, that's a long journey round trip to go for a 5-nighter or something.
Yeah, so I think especially if the pricing is friendlier here, the idea that you could book an overwater bungalow, the water in Belize from everything I see looks beautiful. You're booking an overwater bungalow here, I'm going to guess hopefully at least 20-30% discount over Maldives or Bora Bora. And then boom, from New York City, it's a 4-hour flight. From Dallas, it's a 3-hour flight. From Miami and some other places, it's probably sub 3. You're talking, you could get on the plane at noon and be swimming in your overwater bungalow before dinner. That's pretty tempting compared to Bora Bora or the Maldives for sure.
So I had not heard of this property until you mentioned it, and I've been Googling it as you're talking about it.
6 miles of pristine white beaches, and this whole island is essentially just going to privately be a Four Seasons. And if you look at some of the renderings, the place is jaw-droppingly gorgeous. I don't know, just the thought of the overwater bungalow thing, I get it, is really, really hype. But if you can do it for, slightly more money than, in a base room and going to Belize, and the flights to Belize are pretty friendly priced. All in all, I think this is just an amazing opportunity. And Four Seasons, I feel like always just kind of delivers in general. So, with service and things, they're going to have good food on islands. Like I said, I think it might be the property I'm most excited about. I've really been plotting a Four Seasons Bora Bora trip, which was kind of going to be my me turning 40 trip here soon. I might pivot. That's how excited I am about this property.
I had not heard about this one. I've been Googling, looking at pictures of this. It looks amazing. If you showed somebody a picture of this without telling them where it was, I would be hard pressed to say that they would not say a Bora Bora or a Maldives or something like that, because the more I look at this, the more I get excited about it too. And I had no idea this one was coming up so soon. Looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, caveat it was supposed to open in 2021. So, I don't know if 2025 is a realistic date, but if they've made some good progress here, I just, the fact that it's only 30 minutes from their major airport by boat, or an 8-minute flight, I think really gets me excited. And the fact that, I mean, you can fly into Belize City from, like I said, I think DFW to Belize City is it's just under, it's like 3.5. I think they book it at about 4 hours, but I think it's about a 3.5 hour trip realistically. It's really exciting. And, you're only looking at renderings, but if they can make it 80% as good as these renderings, I'm super excited. You've got a bonus hotel that looks like you just couldn't cross off your list. You want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, so this one I won't go into as much detail. It just I was booking a trip the other day and I saw this one, and it's one that I've been looking forward to checking out. So I know we've talked about I'm a huge Disney fan. I've pretty much stayed at every Disney property. I go down to Disney every year with the family. Polynesian, most people are probably familiar with the Polynesian. It's one of the original Disney hotels, opened in 1971. So they're actually opening a new, it's a Disney Vacation Club tower. It's called the Island Tower. It's going to be right next to the Polynesian. So it's going to be Polynesian themed. It's got some Moana theming. So Disney does a really good job with theming. But this is set to open later this year. And what's really nice about the Disney Vacation Club properties is you can book a 1-bedroom suite, 2-bedroom suite, 3-bedroom, or I say suite, they're really villas that have full kitchens, washer, dryers, things like that. So it's really nice. Like if you're going with a larger family or extended family, being able to book into these larger rooms, being able to have breakfast in the room, or, if you're going around a holiday or something, bake some cookies or, do things like that. So really looking forward to this property opening. The theming looks amazing. It's on the monorail, so easy access to the Magic Kingdom. You'll likely be able to see fireworks from your balcony if you're facing the lagoon out front. So should be a really cool option for Disney coming up.
Perfect. I think a few honorable mentions for me. You've got the Park Hyatt Tokyo reopening. I think this October right now is the plan on its 30th anniversary, which that is one of my all-time favorite hotels. I started my honeymoon at that hotel. I got engaged at that hotel, but just the whole iconic Lost in Translation thing, it's pretty awesome. Four Seasons is opening a hotel in Cartagena, 130 rooms, which could be pretty exciting. The Aman is also planning to open their first hotel in Cabo. So we're really just getting overrun with these super luxury hotels. And I feel like we were pretty neglectful of the rest of the world. This one you're not expecting. There's a Radisson Blu opening I found in Tanzania. It's like 138 rooms, but it looks nicer than some St. Regis I've seen. Like it looks like a really incredible build out, and it also includes apartments. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. JW Marriott's opening a property in Greece. You've got a Waldorf Astoria London opening in this really old school, like arch type building. I don't know how to describe it, but
that does look awesome. I did see that one.
Yeah, I think when that gets a little closer, I might throw that on one of my list. You've got a Six Senses coming to Lisbon, Portugal, and an Andaz coming to Lisbon as well, which Portugal is getting so trendy. Six Senses also has a hotel opening in Italy in like this old castle. I don't quite remember where it is, but they're renovating like an old castle, which I think anytime you can get a chance to do that, super cool. Rosewood is about to open in Venice with like a 100-room hotel. I had in my notes that was something I was playing around with, but felt like it was a little far. But that kind of wraps up. Yeah, I think those were my honorable mentions, things I was playing around with. I mean, there's just so much going on in hospitality right now in this post-COVID world and era. I think that's super, super exciting. And yeah, those are the properties I'm most excited about. Hopefully I'll run into some of you guys at these properties as I'm staying there. And you got anything else to close out, Jamie?
No, like you said, there's so many really awesome properties coming up and so many that even just opened this year. So looking forward to checking out some new properties over the next 12 to 18 months. So I think we both have quite a few new openings booked. So it's always tough when you have properties you love and you want to go back to and visit, and then you have all these exciting new properties coming up. So it's a tough balance, but someone's got to do it.
For sure. And I think Jamie touched on it after most of the properties, but almost all these properties can be booked by a travel advisor. And there's a lot of benefits. If you're even questioning if there might be something, drop us a message through the link in the description, or go to the website or reach out to us, DM us on Instagram or whatever. And then we can kind of direct you and hopefully help out, get you some things like free breakfast, room upgrades. There's some variation between some of the programs, but generally we'd love to help you guys out, enhance your luxury vacation. I think that's it.